In the new state of Unreal 2026, Epic Games just announced a Lore, new version control system for Unreal. So first thing first, what is version control system? Version control allows you to track history of changes in your project. So the most popular version control there is actually Git. So you can see here there's from their website you have link to GitHub, which is server for repositories. But whatever you see here, this is tracked by Git. Git is a version control. It will allow you to track changes in the repository, and everything here is traceable here. So why not use Git for our Unreal Engine projects? Git is brilliant dealing with text. So any of the files here, for example, like I can click on any file here, this is a text. So it's very easy to track any changes. If I will change this line, the Git will know that this line has been changed. But the problem with Unreal is it's heavily dependent on binary data, big assets. So it is not just a text, it is a huge binary file. So Epic Games come with a solution, an advantage Lore, which is optimized for storing and tracking history of large binary assets. So this is still not fully done. So they just announced it. Epic Games will work on this more. At the moment, there is no plugin in Unreal Engine to make it work. So, but we can still use it even now. So you can install that from the GitHub repo, or you can go here, read the docs, and then we can go to tutorials and then quick start. So basically what we need to do first, we need to install Lore on our machine. To do that, you have two options. So depending on your operating system, I'm on the Mac, so I will use this one. But if you are on a Windows, you can go to PowerShell and execute this command here. What I will do is I will just copy that command here and I will go to my terminal. So here I am in the terminal. This is my terminal because I'm on the Mac, and I will just paste it here and I will click enter. So basically what it will do is will download my Lore on my machine. It is updating here because I already have it installed, but it will install on your machine, so it might take a little bit longer for you. And the last bit here is a flag demo. That means it will start server automatically for me. So you can see here a Lore server is running, and it's running on this address. So what does it actually mean? This here, it's your local host. That means it is running on your machine, but you could possibly install that on server somewhere remotely, and you can connect with that server remotely there, and then you can communicate in between different team members with that server. At the moment I'm installing that in my local machine, so that will be local server available only for my machine, and because I'm the only one within that network. So you can set it up to have like access to your network, and then you can share it with other people. But important bit here is this is server and it's running now because I've done that demo. You can also start it to Lore service start, and it will start that service for you. So they recommended to check it in the terminal if it's actually running. So I will copy that one, and I can go to another place and I will do curl and then health check. So this is the name of the server, and I will do health check, and you can see here 200. Okay, that means it is running. I got a response from the server, everything is good, so we are okay to go. So the server is there, I have it installed Lore, but how do I use it on my Unreal Engine project? I am inside a folder here in my projects, and I will do ls lha, and I will list everything what is in my folder. So this is my folder where I have U project file. This is where my project sends, and I need to be in a root here when my U project is. So basically I have it here open. This is my game that I'm working on, and in the terminal I'm in the same folder. So this is what it's listed, all the files and directories in there. So you can see here the content is what we usually work with. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to initiate, and we need to create that Lore version control inside our project. We can go here and they will basically suggest that. So you need to go to your project, navigate to where it is, and then you can do this command there. So let's do copy that, and I will put it here. So what it means, lore is a CLI, command line interface. So that means everything what we want to do in lore, we will start with lore, and then we'll have another commands there. So let's go back a little bit into website. So I will show you, you can go to references here, lore CLI commands, and that will be all commands that are available on that CLI. Command line interface. So lore, revision, and then another command, or you have lore file, and so on and so on. So you see the list of the commands are quite long, but that's what actually we are doing. Lore is our program, repository is something that we want to do with a repository. A repository is more like a project. So we will create one, we'll point what server we are creating that, and then we will name our project. I will name it Rig. That's the name of the game that I'm working on. So I can click on this and I see that a repository has been created. If I go the same command as I've done before, and I will list everything what's in my folder now, you can see this what it was before. And now I have a folder called .lore, so I can do ls lore to see what's actually in there, and I can have some configuration and I have some other files. So basically that's a hidden folder that was created by lore, and this is where we manage all the history and data inside that hidden folder. Dot and lore, that means it will be hidden. So I could go to cat.lore and I can say show me the config. So basically if I need to change the config, like you have it here, let's say you have remote URL, not your local version, but you might have something on a server that your entire team will use. You can change the configuration here. Anyway, we have that already repository. Here, this is install. What we can do is we can tell lore which files we don't want to track it. For example, build. It's something that we generate every time we build a new application. There's no good reason for having that in our repository because it's not needed. It will add extra memory, and there's no point of doing that because I could ship that project without a build and I can build it and I will have it back again. So any content like this that doesn't have to be tracked with a history should be excluded. So how do we exclude it? The easiest way is to use loreignore. It's similar to gitignore. So I can create a file and I will use Vim, but you can use any text editor, but the name of the file is important. So we do dot loreignore, and then I can put folders and files that should be excluded. I'll copy a snippet here and I will paste it here. So basically what I don't want to have it is folder binaries, anything in the build, derive data cache, intermediate, save. Also, I don't want to have any files that will be with extension PDB or ILK. Of course, you can do whatever you want here. If you want to exclude some your own folder, that's fine as well. So what I will do is I will save this file, and now if I will list it, you see I have that loreignore file here. You can put anything what you want inside that folder and it will be excluded. So what I need to do now is I need to, in the current folder, I need to tell lore, add everything what I have. I want to track whatever it's not in the loreignore, rest of it should be added. So how do I do that? It will be the same as you will have more changes later on, and I will show you how to do that. The first thing what we need to do is lore stage, and we can tell lore what to stage. It is similar if you use git, it will be the same as git add. So in lore it's stage, and we can tell what files to include it. I will put dot, that means I will include everything in that folder. And I think it's a kind of bug because it happens to me before. When I've done lore stage everything and there was no changes stage, I think it was because it first kind of added the loreignore. It wasn't there before. So what I need to do is I need to add it again. So let's see, lore status, and then we can scan. Okay, so we have a lot of tracked changes already. So I think the stage, if I've done this, didn't work. Oh, now it works. So I don't know why it didn't work before. Maybe you need to scan it first to recognize, but like when you do lore stage dot at this point, you can see here that many directories was added and so on. So you can see here how many 5 has been added. So stage repository stage, that means whatever is currently in my project, I stage it. That means I add it to the lore. It's like, this is what we will track. So first thing first, what you need to do is we need to create a first commit. Everything, all history tracked by lore or any other version control needs to have some commits. That means it will reference to a certain period of time of your current project. So what we can do is we can do lore commit, and then we can name whatever that is. And I would say initial lore sprig commit. You can put any name here as you like. That should be the description of what the changes are about. But this is the first commit, so I say lore commit, initial lore sprig commit, and I can do that here. And now what lore is doing is going through all the changes there, and it will add it there and will start tracking that history. So we stage everything, all files, apart from those excluded from loreignore. Now it will be added. So it might take a while for the first time. You can see here there's a lot of things that to track and large binary assets. So once it will finish, I will show you what will be our next steps. Okay, and this is done. So you can see here I have a date and I have initial lore sprig commit. That means I have a commit succeeded. I stage everything from my folder and I commit it. So now I kind of told lore this is my current state of changes that I've done and I committed. What I can do now, I can actually push that changes or that commit into my server. So as you remember, my server is still running here. This is my server. I have a server, but this server doesn't really know that I'm somewhere in that directory and do some changes. What I need to do is say, if I want to send that changes. Let's say I have one server that will be for me and my friend who is working on the same project. The server will need to know that we've made some changes. So what I can do is I can do lore push. I will push my changes, push my commit into that server. So I can do lore push, and you can see here it's pushing one fragment, the one commit, and it will be pushing to a branch main. We will talk about branches in a second. So that means my server got that message. I've done some changes and received that. If I will go to another computer and somehow connect to that server, I can do git pull and I will pull that changes, take all the changes that has been done. So this server will be my central point of exchanging data. If you work with someone else, you will have one server and you will push to and pull from that server. So everyone will work on something else and you can use it as an exchange place there. So that's been pushed. What I can do is I can go lore status and then put flag scan. So I can say, oh, I'm on the branch main, which is the kind of master main branch, and I'm on a revision 1. Revision 1 basically means I have only one commit, and that's my revision. There's a revision number and so on. So local branch in sync with remote. What I could do is I can make changes to that. So I can also do lore sync that will sync the changes from my local version from that folder into server, and also changes from the server back to my local folder. So you can see here lore sync, I already have a branch main, latest revision, so I'm up to date with everything. So let's see how it works actually with our Unreal Engine. So I will go to my project, and this is the project I'm working on. And at the moment, everything is up to date. We have our initial commit and we push it to server. Everything is there. What I could do is I can grab any of this. Let's say I will make some changes. I will move some assets from here to there. And you can see here, this is my map. And you can see that asterisk here, that means it is not saved. So if I will save it now, and that's been saved, if I will go back to my terminal, I've done some changes on my project. I'm still here in the same folder, and I can do status scan. And you can see here now, what I have is one of the assets in my project has been changed. So you can see here, one has been modified because I've changed this and I save it. So it recognized that UN map has been modified. what I can do is, let's say I want to work on a new feature, experimental feature, and until I will finish, I'm not going to use the main branch. Main branch is more like a master, something that we used to call it master. Now it is main. Main will be the final version of it, but all the rest of the things we can divert from the main. I can show you like how it looks like with a kind of git. So if you have a master, we call it main now, you will have some commits in between, that every dot here is a commit. So we could at some point we say, okay, I will work on a feature and I will create a new branch, and that branch I will do some commits there and I will merge it back to main. So we can use it as a solo dev, or we can use it in a team, so everyone will merge from a master and then create new branch from master and merge back again just to sync the changes in. And you can see here that's more complicated diagram. This is how it looks like on an enterprise level. You have main branch, you have hotfixes that you fix something and put it back into the main, or you have like a feature branch that you do some changes here, and then when it's ready you merge it back there, and so on. So you have like a different strategies for having that history or working on different features I've done. But basically we have a branch which is main version of it, and then we have also some other branches. So let's create a new branch there. So what I can do is I can do lore branch create, and I can name it. The way you name it, it's up to you. Some people use a feature. If you're working on a feature, then you can say, feature something, or you can just name it whatever. I will name it carrot. That means my branch will be named carrot, and I will have created branch carrot here. What I can do, because I made some changes, so I can do status scan. You see, one file has been modified, and this is my level, so umap. What I can do is I can do lore, I can stage it, so I can do lore stage. I will stage everything. I could specify I want to stage only this one file, but I can say, okay, I will stage this. So staging one file, one modified, nothing has been added, 0 deleted. What I can do is I can say lore commit, and I can commit, and I can name it or put a description for that commit, and I can say moved on carrot, and I can do this. So basically what I have here is my local branch carrot. It has stat changes with that carrot move here. That means main doesn't have it, but I switch to my different branch, and my different branch will have a carrot here. So what I can do is I can notify my server that I have that changes, I have that new branch. I can do lore push, and I'm pushing that. So at the moment I can say lore branch list, and I can see what are the branches available. So I have local branches, which is main and carrot. This is the one that I'm using at the moment, because you can see asterisk and it's green. And among the branches, this is my server that's running over here, also knows about those two branches. So I have two branches there. What I can do is I can switch back to main. So let's say I will go lore branch, and I can do switch and main. So this was my, I was on the carrot branch, now on the main. So if I will do list here, you can see at the moment I'm on the main. But if I'll go back to the project here, well, main was with the carrot over there, but it's not there. I have it everything saved, but it still doesn't know that I am on the new branch. So that's the problem at the moment, because it's still not fully integrated with Unreal Editor. Soon enough they will have like a seal plugin for this, and this will be solved. What you could do is you could close the project and open it again, and it will load the current state of it. Or you can go here. I have that forested there, so this is my level. What I can do is I can right click and I can say asset actions, and I can say reload. And if I reload it here, you can see here that this carrot is back in there, because I'm in the main branch now. So main branch didn't have that changes. The carrot had that. So I could go back to carrot, I switch to carrot now, and that branch has my changes, so I can do here, and I can do the same again. So if I will right click, assets, reload, you can see here the changes. So I have two branches, one with carrot here and one with carrot there in the main. What I can do is I can switch back to main, and if I'm happy with the changes I had there, and it's like, okay, I'm happy, everything is done, what I want to do is I want to merge it into my main. So I can do lore branch main, merge, and then I can tell we branch, and I can tell which branch to merge into my main. At the moment I'm in the main, as you know, I switched to main, so this is my main branch, and I want to merge my carrot branch. So I will do this, and it will take all the things that I've done and change on the carrot, and it will merge it into main. So at the moment, if I will do status, branch list, you see I'm in the main, but I can do lore status and then scan flag. I have local branch is ahead of remote, so that means my local changes in that folder are not in sync with whatever is my server is knowing, because I just merge it. I merge it here, but I can do lore push, or I can do lore sync. And then I have the changes there. So at the moment, what I did is I took the changes of my carrot that was up here, and I merged it into main. So even if I'm on the main now, so if I do lore branch list, you see I'm on the main there. If I go here into my asset and I do reload, you see my main still has that carrot in that place. I work on the feature in different branch. I was happy with that. I merged it into main, and now everything is main. You can see here it's still not a full workflow, it's still not done, because we need to kind of reload the asset, or we need to close it and open it. But that's only when you change branches. You don't really do that often. So normally you create a branch, you work on the feature, you will make changes. When you are happy with it, you will merge it into a master, and then you will need to reload it. So the good thing is that Lore will keep the history of it. You can revert it whatever you had it. If you make a mistake, you don't want to, let's say you are working on the feature, you've done something really bad, and it's like, okay, let's forget about it. You will go to main, just remove the branch, and you can work with this. So Lore, you can see here, you can easily track it, you can have a server that you can communicate with, and you can work with different methods. I'm not going to show you all the methods here, but if you want to know what to do with this, there is a CLI command reference. So you can see here you have repositories. Basically, if you have Lore repositories list, I think is repository. I think I need to do list and then specify the server. So my server is lore, and basically I can copy that from here. So I need to tell from what server I will be copy that from. So I kind of say, okay, list me repository on that server, and you can see here I have one repository here. That's my server. It knows about my project and so on. So any command from here, you see you can check the repositories. We have config updates and so on. You have branches. We talk about branches. You can see switch and create and info list and so on. So you have revisions as well. We saw a little bit of that, and file, so authentication and so on. So this will be still developed. This is not finished version. So the plugin for Unreal doesn't exist, but at this point we can still use it. It is very useful, and even for yourself, if you are a solo dev, you can use it as a track history. So you're not going to lose everything if you make a mistake. It is very easy to reverse to whatever you were doing. Also, you can put that server somewhere outside of your computer on the same network you are. So even if you lose it on your computer, you will still have a backup there using the lore. So I'm very excited they released this. This is really good. I'm hoping it will be developed and it will be more useful within the Unreal editor later on. At the moment, it's still great to have. I hope you learned something today. If you want to know more about it, let me know and I will try to record a video about this. Thank you.